Okay guys, so what I've done here is I've opened up my one of the sample images from this week's folder, and what we're going to do is talk about the healing brush versus the clone stamp. Now the two tools work very similar. So first thing I'm going to do is create a background, whoops, background layer, lock it, we'll create a base layer, oops, we're going to call this clone um, wall. Now some people will ask why am I using a healing brush in a clone layer. Ultimately it's the same thing, you're retouching, so I'm fine if you just call that clone. So now with the healing brush, which is S, sorry, with the clone stamp, which is S, as we know, what I can do with this is just copy pixels from one place to another. Let me just turn that off. There we go. And what it'll do is it will ultimately just copy and paste pixels, straight copy and paste. Okay, which is fine, but you got to be very careful where you're sampling from because it'll ultimately pull tonality from one area, and if it's improper, for instance like this, it'll just look horrible. Okay, the healing brush allows you in a very similar way. So let's go to the right over here where the patch tool is. You'll see the healing brush tool. Okay. Same thing. What this allows you to do is it allows you to copy and paste pixels from one place to another, increase your brush size, increase your hardness, and things like that. Ultimately, though, what it does is it blends your pixels together. So first of all, we need to make sure we're on all layers for this to work. We can leave all of this stuff alone for now and watch what happens. Let me just zoom in a little bit more. So I'm sampling, and then I'm pasting. Now, at first glance, it may not look any different, but what it's doing is the tool itself is coming in and ultimately blending all the areas together. Where the tool doesn't work, though, is when you come into the side like this. Here you can actually see what the tool's doing. So the tool is trying to blend dark and light, and you end up getting a middle value, a middle gray. And that's where this tool falls apart. But for the most part, it's great for blending tones in. Now let's say I made a huge mess somewhere. Let's do that. So I made a huge blotchy mess right in here. The clone stamp sometimes can help you fix that by coming into the edges of something and it blends in the area so it starts to look a little bit less smudgy. So it's another tool that ultimately allows you to come in and copy pixels from one place to another, except the difference is this will blend. So you don't have quite of an issue of coming in and having to be super careful with sampling. But again, where it falls apart is when I start coming to the edges of something like this. It starts to make these weird blotchy marks. So you have to understand where it falls apart and when to rely on different tools for that sort of process. But ultimately, the healing brush does excel at certain things. Now, a lot of the techniques with this, you actually click and you drag, which is something you don't quite do with the with the clone. But it works better when you click and drag things like this. There we go. Let's come over to our friend here at the bottom right. Our friend's face. This tool would actually be quite good for blending in certain areas of this kid's face. Here we go. Young Michael Bowie here. If only. And there we go. And you see that I made a little spot there? This tool can just ultimately fix that sort of thing. That's how this tool works. Now, you may not notice the differences right away, but the more you use it, the more you'll find out how it does help for certain areas. This is a very resource-heavy tool, though. Please keep that in mind. Make sure that you are indeed working on a computer that does not have everything open under the sun. But there you go. That's kind of how you can use the healing brush to fix certain areas of the image.